Oh yeah. Man, guys, I gotta tell you, I am so glad that the summer is finally here.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
It's nice to just chill out, make some food, drink some beers, and just enjoy ourselves, man.
Yeah, it's nice to get out of that stupid studio for once.
You know, that kind of reminds me. We should do a topic about one of my favorite movie franchises ever.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Independence Day.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That makes sense, since it is the 4th of July and all.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that, but first things first, how do you guys like your meat? You want it rare, medium rare, well done?
Nuke the bastards.
Damn. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Geeking, Poetic podcast, and happy 4th of July for all you folks here in America. I'm Larry.
Megan.
I'm Vito.
And if you haven't figured it out, if you haven't seen our hilarious, ridiculous teasers we've been putting out the last couple of weeks, we are doing a special holiday-related podcast discussing a somewhat controversial set of movies, a lot of divided opinions on these movies, but one of Vito's favorites. And
Ultimate. The first one is one of my top 5 movies of all time. No joke.
All time, folks. Put that one in your fucking pipe and smoke it.
Serious
fucking
shit
around.
right there.
And what movie is it that we're talking about, or what series is it, Vito?
The Independence Day franchise.
Yeah. So, first came out back in 1996.
Good year.
Yeah, how old were you in 96?
14 years old.
Yeah, I was not 14. I was a little older than that. I'm not gonna say how
I
old
wasn't much older.
Yeah, you were a couple of younglings, and I was already fucking old by that point. But
Well, out of high school?
I was well out of high school, yeah. Yeah, I was well out of high school at that point, because I'm like Gandalf the fucking Gray. Or today, I'm Gandalf the red, white, and blue. As you can see, we're all decked out. We got the RV here, got that revving up behind us. We've been doing some grilling and some drinking and just talking some shit. So
It's the only way to spend a 4th of July here in America, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll burn some shit down later, set some things on fire,
Oh yeah.
Good times.
American way.
America.
Let's blow shit up.
That's just about right. But so I'm pretty excited to talk about the movie Independence Wars Resurgence.
No, wait a minute. We're doing the Asylum Pictures Independence's Day.
Independence's Day. We're not doing any of that.
No, we're not, unfortunately.
Fortunately.
Probably. I actually haven't seen those yet. I've only seen trailers and they look pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And when it's pretty terrible
compared
to some of the
you
shit
dig terrible.
that Vito watches, man. Yeah. So. Yeah, I needed a drink just thinking about some of the shit you watch, man. But no, in all seriousness, we are talking about the more well-known franchise of Independence Day. Although there's some people that think that this franchise is equally terrible, Vito.
Especially the second movie, which I wholeheartedly disagree.
Oh, this is going to get interesting, guys.
Yeah, I think Megan's going to have to be a little
I'm going to have to referee this one.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to give away too much too soon. Didn't hate the movie. But I don't think I liked it quite as much as you liked it. And we'll have to debate a little bit of that. Let's talk a little bit about 1996, man. Where were you at in 1996?
So like I said, I was 14, so I had just graduated 8th grade. This would have been the summer of 8th grade, the transition between 8th grade and high school.
Right.
Yeah, man, that was a time to be alive. I mean, Will Smith was on top of the fucking world.
Yeah. Will Smith
yeah.
was- yeah.
And I
Top
loved Will
dog.
Smith, man. I was I'm a 90s kid, so I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh,
I mean, that one of my all-time favorite shows of all time.
I'm like singing the song in my
Yeah,
head.
for sure.
Oh boy.
And this
Love that
movie
song.
kind of helped jumpstart Smith's career in obviously the movie business.
Yeah, I think it took him from just being like that.
The Fresh Prince
TV.
dude.
Yeah, that novelty
Comedy
kind of.
guy.
Yeah, there was a big difference between being like big on TV and music and stuff. I mean, there's the different hierarchies, I guess you could
Yeah.
say, of like popularity in the business. It's like music is kind of generally, unless you're like Elton John or something, is kind of on the bottom, and then I think TV is sort of the next tier up, and then there's that like movie star blockbuster, and then. Yeah, Will Smith went into blockbuster territory right away with this movie.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best things about this movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
well,
he
the
makes-
first one.
yeah.
You said.
Yeah,
ahead, I'm sorry.
he does bring a lot of charisma and charm to the.
Yeah, if it wasn't him in it, I don't know if it'd be the same. I can't picture anybody else in that role
Yeah, I agree
and
with
doing
that.
as good of a job
Yeah, because I think he played
in that era.
Yeah, he played a really good balance between funny, you
Yeah.
know, like that smart ass funny and believably like sincere, and
Serious.
serious, you know. I think everybody in that first movie actually did a pretty good job of that. But I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves and everything. But what about you, Meg?
I was recently a transplant here from Oklahoma.
She
So I was
is
fresh
a
meat still.
country girl.
Country girl. 16, I was starting my sophomore year, and I was getting my driver's license.
Old enough to drive yourself to
Old
the
enough
movies.
Yeah, I didn't go see it at the movies, though.
No?
No, I didn't.
Ooh.
Imagine, and you lived right over there by the 49 drive-in and all that stuff. You
Yeah.
could have gone to see it at the drive-in on top of it.
I didn't even go to the drive until I was in my 30s. Ever. So,
I don't think I've ever been into a drive-in.
You've
Oh, that
never
feels so
been to
bad.
a drive-in?
No, where like you hold the speaker on the.
Yeah.
No, I've never done that.
Oh,
okay, I don't feel so bad now.
ladies and gentlemen, because
We are the youngins.
Yeah, I mean,
Haven't been to the
I don't even think
drive-in.
those existed in the
no,
90s
dude,
anymore, right?
there's
Yeah,
a
there's
Oh,
one
really?
still.
There's
yeah,
there's
out by
there
me.
around. There's
We're
a
gonna have to
great-
go.
There's a great
Yeah?
one right by where she lives. It's fucking awesome.
shit.
Man.
Yeah.
They do double
Right.
features and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Yeah, we went years ago. And
That was the first time I went. It was with them.
was that the first time you
That
ever
was
went?
the first time I ever been to a
I don't
drive-in.
think you ever told me that. No shit.
No shit. That was it.
Oh, see, when I was a kid, man, I there used to be what they called the 41 drive-in on Calumet Avenue in Hammond, and so it was not that far from me, 10 minutes away from where I grew up, and man, I saw most of my movies there, actually. Quite a few of them. I was either there or I saw them at River Oaks in Cal City, which was, a regular indoor one. But yeah, I mean, I grew up, of course, I'm a kid from the 70s, so, drive-ins were all the rage then. and
Yeah.
everything.
The thing.
But man, I did not see this movie at the drive-in. That would have been this would have been a really cool movie to see at the
Oh
drive-in.
yeah, that would have been awesome.
That would have been a lot of fun. Yeah, 96 for me. Well, it's kind of pertinent to the subject matter because in 1996 I started working at my comic book store that I started working there in 96, and then by the end of the year I owned it.
It's all in.
Yeah. The owner ended up wanting to get out of the business for various reasons, and he said, I'll sell you the store for cheap. So I finagled money, scrounged money together, and I bought this comic book store, and that was kind of the bane of my existence for the next 4 or 5 years, unfortunately. I had good, it was, it was cool.
Good experience.
Yeah, it was a good experience. I was too young. I was too young to be owning a
A
business.
business owner?
Yeah, because I mean, in all seriousness, I was still young. I was still in my early 20s, you know what I mean, at that point, and just not real wise. But what I do remember was all of a sudden getting all sorts of promotional material sent my way shortly, you know, in the weeks and couple months leading up to the 4th of July of that summer. I was getting all this stuff about, you know, getting they would send me like little flyer things. I'd order toys and comic books and all that kind of stuff to sell in my store. And as you know, it usually happens is when you're ordering that stuff, they send you promotional things for new things coming out that they're gonna. And I was getting all these things with like pictures of this giant spaceship with this huge beam of laser light, whatever, blowing the shit out of the White House, and it was like, the fuck is this? You know, like
it's intense.
Yeah,
pretty
like
badass.
That looks pretty intense. Not a lot of information about what the hell it was. And then I started getting solicited by hookers. No, I started getting solicited by the
Who worked for the movie theaters trying to get you to buy
yeah.
Independence Day tickets
Yeah.
or whatever?
No, I started getting solicited by the companies, you know, the toy companies and stuff, to buy these toys. And I remember seeing the original version of this fucking guy right here, this alien thing, because he was in this big cool box.
It comes with like the canister, I think, too, right? Or was it the deluxe version, maybe?
Yeah, we'll have to look that up and pop it in there or something. Yeah. I just remember the original Independence, and it was, you know, in this big box, and it was pretty high tech for its time because it could open up, made this noise and everything. And I remember saying, like, holy shit, like, it reminded me, because again, I'm old enough to remember, it reminded me of back in 1979, 1980 when Alien came out. And the Alien, the 18-inch, the infamous 18-inch Alien figure that came out from Kenner, that's one of the baddest ass fucking toys ever made. Ask anybody who knows their shit about toys, and they're gonna tell you that 18-inch Alien fucking figure is incredible. But same thing, it reminded me of that. Like, I hadn't seen anything like to that level since then. So I was like, okay, I have no idea what this movie's gonna be about, but this looks pretty cool. Badass, man, you know. And it's kind of funny because I had I was in my mind, I was building this up to be more like Alien. It's not like Alien.
No.
No, it's not. I mean, it could have been. I don't know. In some ways it is. I guess if you were...
You didn't really go that route with it.
No, I mean, but I think in terms of like the creepiness and the scariness of the aliens, especially the first half of that movie, I think is pretty intense, pretty scary. And if you were like an 8-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid or even a 12-year-old kid, I guess it could be comparable to when I was 8 and I saw Alien, you know.
Yeah, and they kept the alien kind of hidden for the first half as well.
Say, if it was like more one-on-one contact, it would have been more like Aliens. But they stayed more in their ships.
Yeah.
But and then occasionally you'd see one.
Yeah.
Right, but
or get a glimpse of it. Not like in the new movie where it's literally... You see them all the time, and it's, you know, sometimes it's not to the benefit of the movie, I would say, but...
Oh, there's a lot of things that are not to the benefit of the movie.
Come on.
We'll get there. We're getting there.
We'll get there.
Getting there.
But in any case, my point is to me, it reminded me of that, you know, because there was a lot of mysterious hype about Alien when that came out.
Yeah.
And it was, and the only thing we knew was this, you know, just like we did with the Xenomorph, you know. Yeah. And it was cool, yeah. So then I started hearing more about who was in it, and it was like, you know, Will Smith. Oh, okay. Randy Quaid. Oh, okay. All right. You know, Harvey Firestein, you know. Oh, Lord.
Fuck my lawyer.
Yeah, I
gotta call my mother.
Yeah. Send her to California.
The most annoying character in that fucking movie, man.
He's
Holy
great,
shit,
though, man. But he's great, though, you know? Like, yeah, it just... And then it started coming out about who was all going to be in the movie. You know, all them, and Harry Connick Jr., and Bill Pullman, and, you know, and Vivica Fox, and all this. And it was like, okay, like, wow, this is a real hodgepodge of, you know,
it's a nice mixture of
very 90s actors.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Stuff, like very happening. So yeah, I just didn't know what to make of it. But yeah, it was a big deal when it came out. And I remember being in the comic and toy store, I'd get people coming in all the time saying, you know, hey, did you see it and everything? And it was really mixed. Like, people seemed really mixed. Like, I'd get people that were like, fuck, man, that movie was great. I love that shit. And then I'd get other people that were like, that movie was so fucking stupid. They were like, that movie was such a letdown. And I was kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
I leaned more towards liking it. I've seen it. I've since watched it, I don't know how many dozens of times.
I mean, it's on every year, right? On the
yeah. And I bought it, on VHS when it came out.
Yeah, that's when I saw it, was when it came out on VHS.
Yeah.
When I saw it. And I love it.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to ask is when did you guys see it? Like you saw it.
I saw it when it came out.
Opening weekend.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Kick ass, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember? Tell us about it.
Man, dude, I like sitting in the movie theater watching this movie is like an experience unto itself. Because this was probably one of the first movies I saw with like incredibly like humongous explosions and destruction that I don't think I ever saw in a movie up to this point. And the special effects at that time, dude, I thought were fucking incredible. And most of them were all done in miniature.
Yeah.
This was like...
They did it old school.
Right. I mean, they did have some CG stuff and compositing, but most of it was miniatures. And I do believe that it set the record for most miniatures in a movie, which I don't think it's been overtaken yet. Because ever since then, we've switched to CGI. So I don't think they're going to hit that record again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It could happen again. I mean, especially since there's been so much backlash against CG in recent years, especially.
It needs more time to develop.
Yeah,
For them to
it
go
does.
all in.
But yeah, I think, man, yeah, in terms of the special effects, I know you can watch the first one, 94, and there's some effects that are, especially the CG stuff. It's outdated. But I was surprised when I watched it recently how well it actually did stand up. And I think that it was because they had really good people working on it. And I think they were really smart about how they balanced it out. Like, I think 94 is a good example of how to do it right. Like, there were certain things that they said, look, if we're going to do this, it's got to be practical. It's got to be an actual, like, miniature, something really blowing up. It can't just be because, I love the whole thing. Like, I didn't even know about it. You mentioned it to me recently about how they filmed the city.
The city blowing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, they built, it was a model, and they built it, and then they flipped it on its side and hung it there, and then lit it on fire so that the streets could act like a chimney.
It's badass.
And that's how they filmed it.
Right. So the fire would go this way through like just sweeping through the city. That's brilliant.
And because it has a natural, because fire naturally goes up. So it looks real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I thought, oh, Jesus Christ, that's really fucking smart.
mm-hmm.
Use it as a freaking chimney,
Yeah.
as a funnel.
Right. And I just, knowing that, and then, like I said, watching it again, because I hadn't seen it in a couple of years, maybe. I think we all end up seeing bits and pieces of it now and then because it's on TNT or Sci-Fi or Spike or some one of those. It's always on. But I finally watched it in full again, and it stood up better for me. And that's saying something, man, because a lot of those movies from that time, you watch them, even ones you loved back then, like in the mid-90s, you watch them now and you're like, oh, yeah, okay. I still like it, but it's kind of dated. I was actually surprised. Not saying this isn't dated. I mean, this is a fucking 90s
It's a 90s movie.
man.
Yeah, a lot of themes and cliches are very 90s.
This is a big 90s movie, but I was surprised at how well a lot of it did stand up, man. I really like the special effects. What cracked me? I don't know why though. What part always made me laugh, and I saw it again the other day, and it still made me laugh, is when Vivica Fox and the kid are in that tunnel, and they're trying, and that fireball's coming through, and they're yelling for the dog. What's Boomer! And then they show that dog. That dog just doing that, with that fake ass fire. Like,
which the fire doesn't follow him into the tunnel with them, right?
Like
It's because it wasn't on its side.
That's
You need
right.
to flip it on its side.
Dead dog doesn't get singed at all. Like, it's just perfectly like, I'm good, but that, there's certain things like that make me kind of go, oh boy, even at the time when I saw that, even by 96 standards, it was like, that's pretty bad. But, whatever. I mean, there's things like that in some of the best movies, Star Wars, there's shit like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, every movie's going to have something that's pretty dumb or that's going to make you laugh when it probably shouldn't. I mean, that's just,
Except for Terminator, because it's
Well, yeah, that's Terminator 2. Ain't nothing wrong with that movie.
Here we go again. Folks, once again, like I said, a Terminator retrospective review is imminent because, it's always,
It's coming.
Terminator and Star Trek are just always going to be referenced with this crew here, What about the storyline? I mean, what did you think of, like, did you feel like the storyline was good and consistent and, start with you, Meg?
The first one, yes.
Yeah.
We're sticking with the first one for now,
Yeah,
right?
I'm just talking about the first one.
Yeah.
We'll move on. We'll move on about the sequel in a minute, but let's just talk about ID4. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the story in the first one. I like how, Will Smith's character found out about it and he had to go in then, and I don't, just the way they built it up. I enjoyed how the city got blown up.
Got blown up,
I enjoy how that city got all blow up. The Oklahoma's coming out, folks.
Oh, fudge. So I enjoyed the whole destruction scenes early on.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted more after that. I liked how they went and interrogated the aliens and came up with a plan and implemented it across the world. And
America led the charge because it was 1996.
Right.
Yeah,
That was one thing. I was recently watching it, and they're like, they were radioing everybody. They're like, finally, they got a plan. I was like, where's your fucking plan? Why does America got to save your asses? Jesus Christ.
We were on top of the world back then, guys. That's
Yeah, well, so much for that.
Jingoistic to a fault, man. Let me tell you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good. I was happy with the storyline. Like I said, there's certain things. I mean, I thought, like, say for example, was it Russell?
Randy Quaid's character.
Randy Quaid's character. It's at first it seemed kind of goofy. It was like, okay, this is obviously sort of like the comic relief in the movie, but then the way it ends with him and all that, I actually thought that was like, and even though they still made it kind of funny, because it's Randy Quaid, but I don't know, like it was heartfelt. It was, it was cool. I think,
especially that ending scene, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry I'm late, Mr. President. And he comes in to save the day. Oh, dude, that's a touching scene at the end, man. When he's looking at his kids. Oh.
Yeah. And I thought that was well done. And it was a good balance of being over the top and kind of funny, but touching and all that. And that's what the movie needed to be. It needed to be a good balance of all that. And I think mostly the first Independence Day movie is that. I think it's a pretty good balance of everything. There's some corny shit in there too, dialogue-wise, and certain choices.
We
they
like
made.
corny shit.
Yeah, that's true. And it was 96. I mean, that's kind of
Right.
again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. All right. So since I was talking about like Russell and stuff like that, starting with you, Vito, what's your favorite characters?
Oh, God.
It's hard, man. I love Bill Pullman as the president.
Yeah.
It's probably my
Love
number.
his speeches.
Yeah,
His
oh my
speeches.
God.
It's like, oh my God, yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And people are like, yeah, that speech is fucking corny. Fuck you,
Fuck
dude.
you, yeah.
That speech will get a crowd going like no other.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, it is.
I agree.
It is
I'm with
corny.
you.
It is, but have you ever heard? I mean, what most speeches? I don't know. I haven't heard too many that
You'd show me a president's speech.
That's not
that
cliched.
Can do that.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like we've had a whole ton of presidents in the last 20 some odd years that are real
Great
good at public speaking anyway, you know what I mean? Or, you know.
And that's why he won 2 terms in the franchise.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you there, man. He was a good character.
Might be my number 2 president in the movie world.
Oh, after...
Jim Marshall.
Yeah.
Mr.
Air
Harrison
Force
Ford,
One.
Air Force
we already
One.
discussed that. We're just doing a callback there. And if you haven't seen that, you need to go back and watch or listen to our Harrison Ford retrospective.
It's a good one.
It is a very good one.
It's a good one. So, what about you, Meg? What's favorite character? Doesn't have to just be one. You could pick a couple. You know.
Shit, I don't know. I'm gonna pick Data. Dr. Oakham.
Yeah.
Oaken. Brackish Oaken.
Yeah.
Brackish Oaken.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. I especially like him in the sequel.
The sequel especially.
Yeah, especially. But
Brent knew what he was doing in that movie, man.
yeah.
It's like, oh, you guys want me to come back? All right, I'll come back.
Oh,
And
yeah.
He
came back.
he
in a
hammed
big
it up,
way.
man.
Yeah. Fucking bare ass hanging out and everything. Man.
Why'd you tell me my ass was hanging out?
Yeah. He was real good. Gosh, I agree with both of those. Like I said, I thought that Randy Quaid's character had a great ending. You know, that meant a lot. Will Smith, man, he was fucking great in it. Vivica Fox was really good in it. Like I liked what I liked about it is I liked the fact that it equally it wasn't just a chauvinistic, although I suppose at times it still came across that way, but it wasn't a chauvinistic kind of one-sided script. I mean, Vivica Fox was a badass. You know, the women in the Independence Day movies are not portrayed as, damsels in distress. Yeah, no, it's,
Amy's gonna eat me.
Because she was the stripper, but she ended up saving tons of people after the destruction, and the president's wife. So
got it to her, back to her husband in time to
die.
say bye. Sad to die, but just to say bye.
Right. So, I mean, I think especially in terms of the first movie, I think that there isn't any one actor or actress that carries that movie. I think that they're all pretty good. That being said, any least favorites? Megan?
I just want to go back. Goldblum was really good in it.
Okay, so
he was like very Goldblum.
Goldblum is that's when you get to Goldblum, that is like a love-hate kind of thing. Because some people are like, "Oh, it's so great, he's so awesome," and then other people are like, "Fucking Jeff Goldblum."
But dude, the chemistry between him and his father,
Judd Hirsch,
dude, Judd Hirsch is awesome.
Yeah.
No one plays a Jew like Judd Hirsch, man. I'll tell you.
An old school Jew,
I liked. Judd Hirsch was his name? Judd Hirsch?
Yeah, from Taxi.
In the first one.
Ooh, okay.
We'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, we'll leave it. All right. Okay. What about you, Vito? Is there anybody that you would say, I can't stand? I mean, you already kind of mentioned Harvey first.
That's just because his voice is really annoying to me. But Harry Connick Jr.'s character I thought was kind of a waste. Come on, Big Daddy. just hurry up and just get shut down already. You don't matter in this movie.
I like Harry Connick Jr. I agree with you though. It was a little bit of a throw.
It seemed like almost he was in a different movie sometimes, Or the lines he was reading weren't part of the movie or something. I don't know. It just
he's on his own little planet.
Yeah.
I don't know. His own thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I like Harry Connick Jr. himself. I like the actor, and I like him as a performer, singer, all that, So I'm probably a little more forgiving of him, but it makes sense. Yeah.
So who's yours?
Gosh, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I can really think of anybody.
Oh, I'm thinking about the second movie. I know who yours is in the second movie.
Oh.
But we're not there yet.
Yeah. And even then...
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah. In the first movie, no. There isn't, like I said, there's times where certain characters like, kind of maybe grate a little bit or a little corny. But I feel like in the end, everybody proves their worth. Everybody was there for a reason.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, So, yeah, no, I don't. I overall, I think highly of Independence Day 4, ID4. I actually think I like it better now than I did 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I said I'm really surprised at how well, I always liked it, but I'm surprised at how well it stands up for me. And I'm like, wow, I'm still like really interested in this. Like, it was, I kind of almost like rediscovering it. I was like, awesome. This is cool. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of movies from that time that I feel that way about, that I'm still like, this still fucking, like that, Twister.
Oh my God, I love Twister.
Really?
What?
Oh my God, get out.
That movie's
we're done.
garbage. I can't stand watching that movie.
Oh.
Dude, whenever it's on, I gotta leave I can't sit through that. It's just fucking dumb.
Oh, Vito, you don't even understand. You do know that's like her favorite movie.
Really? Twister? Get out of here.
Oh my God. I'm like,
oh, wow.
I can't take this right now.
And
I'm
it's
gonna
even got
cry.
Bill Paxton.
You're about to cry. You're gonna
And
make
Bill
me cry.
Paxton couldn't
Change your
even save
mind.
it
I'm
for
gonna
me.
cry.
I'm just not into weather. And I think you have to
If I had
be.
an alien, would you change your mind?
If there was tornadoes,
If
probably
I
not.
dropped.
No. Even if the aliens were creating the tornadoes, it's tornadoes. I don't care.
Oh, Vito.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, man. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen,
Fuck.
we're still a young show, and the cracks are already starting to show. They're already coming out.
Oh man.
You were meeting, yeah. First you sit there and you fucking badmouth Dazed and Confused, and you talk about how
The Doors.
The Doors are one of the worst bands of all time.
Sure are.
And now you sit there and you just literally take a huge fecal fucking dump all over one of Megan's favorite movies.
All time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing to consider. She fucking grew up in,
I guess.
In Oklahoma.
in Oklahoma, where that shit is like, it's a way of life, son. It's
Been
a way
there,
of
done
life.
that.
I get. Yeah. Okay.
So, flying cows? Come on. Cow.
It's a cow.
Another cow.
It's another cow. Oh, I think that's the same one.
Yeah.
God damn it, Vito.
Sorry.
Well, you know what? Just for this, since we've made Megan endure all our shit and everything, we're gonna have to do a fucking Twister thing at some point and make you, and we'll have a nice counterpoint
all right.
discussion about Twister.
Are there novelizations for it? Maybe I'll like those.
I'll see if I can find you one.
Oh man! All
Shit's
right.
about to go down.
And on that note, then I think we need to fast forward to 20 years later. And we get into Resurgence.
Ooh.
So, 20 years later, and when you thought it was never going to happen, they announce the sequel. We get Independence Day Resurgence. I already know the answer to this from one of you guys. So, Vito, were you excited when you heard that there was a sequel?
Guys, I have literally waited for this movie for the last 20 years of my life. At the time, 20 years. Literally, I was like counting the days. Are they going to make a sequel? Are they going to make a sequel? Because right after this movie came out, like a year or two later, they said, listen, we're going to make a sequel.
Yeah.
And they said there's already books in the works for sequels. And I was like, holy fuck. They're like, yeah, the aliens are coming back. They're coming back? Fuck yeah. And my 14-year-old brain's going like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Are they going to be back this way? They're going to bring a different species with them and shit?
Right.
Dude, I was all on board for the sequel. And when it came out, I was not disappointed in the very least.
I was a little worried there, and you even already said you loved it.
Opening weekend, my ass was in that seat with a huge ass smile on my face. Because I finally got the sequel to Independence Day.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, Made my fucking summer, guys.
Man, and matter of speaking. Yeah. You got your sequel. Meg, what about you?
Sequel. I don't remember this movie coming out.
Really?
I don't remember it at all. I don't remember any hype about it. Yeah, I got nothing.
Well, yeah,
I didn't even know there was until we started talking about doing this. You're like, oh, there's Resurgence. Like, what?
Whoa. That boggles my mind.
Yeah, that's a little surprising because I thought you at least probably should have heard about it. But I mean, it came and went pretty quick.
It did. It did not do well at the box office, unfortunately.
It did not.
It's really. I tried getting people to go, man, but
Really?
they just were not digging it.
Yeah, had I known about it, I would have been interested in seeing it. But I never heard about it.
So, okay, I mean, you'd waited all these years for this, Vito. We're going to obviously just mainly focus on Vito here because
For a while, for a minute.
The boy's all about it, right? What were you expecting from it? Like, what exactly were you, did you have expectations? Like, I know you were just saying, like, could it be this, could it be that? But I mean, did they end up actually matching pretty much what you were expecting from it? Or did it kind of surprise you? Did it,
For the most part, it was pretty much how I envisioned it being. Like, they come back, they're bigger, they're better. We've adapted some of their technology to make sure that if they do come back, we can fight them. And all that stuff I thought was fucking awesome. When you get F-22 Raptor jets mixed with this anti-grav technology with fusion engines and laser guns, dude, fuck yeah. I mean, dude, that's so fucking cool. And it's exciting to see on screen. The dogfights they had with the H-8 planes, the human planes versus the harvester ships. I mean, it was fucking badass, dude.
Yeah, I will definitely concur with you on that. I thought
The
fight scenes and stuff, that's definitely a highlight of that movie. I loved the technology. I loved the way they adapted showed that in 20 years how they had adapted it and everything. Like, I thought that was all like really cool. I also thought it was kind of cool that they showed, like, we thought we were all badass having that shit, like that what's her name, Celia Ward,
the president,
playing the president, and she was just like, whatever, like, aliens are coming, we've got our protective shit, blah, blah, blah. And the fucking aliens show up and like,
fuck you. You're done.
They're like, bitch,
That's so 20 years ago.
Yeah, they're like, bitch, please. Like, we didn't know you were going to have that, Like, they just went, pew, 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 blew all that shit out. And they were just like, well, now what? Now what are we going to do?
And we even set up bases on Rhea, one of Saturn's moons, on
that
Mars'
cool.
moon.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fucking badass.
Yeah,
dude.
I kind of wish they would have kept that alternate intro when they showed them on the...
On Saturn.
On Saturn and started that. It wasn't like a big scene, but I just...
It's in the book and it plays out better, but...
Yeah. And I love that alternate... we're talking about... If you have the Blu-ray of the DVD, they show you that they had an alternate beginning where they show that moon of Saturn and the base and all that and the rings of Saturn and it being sucked away, that gravity kind of... That was cool. Yeah, that was kind of a missed opportunity. This movie for me is all about missed opportunities. So in terms of what I was expecting, I guess I'm not going to ask you what you were expecting to see in the sequel because you just didn't even know there was.
Shit.
Yeah, you didn't even know it was coming out. You didn't know it was happening. It's like, we ain't got shit. Yeah, kind of the same as you. I kind of figured it was going to be that. It was going to be like, hopefully we've adapted because there's no way we'd be able to...
Without another computer virus, what are we going to do
Right.
to upload to the mothership again?
Right.
We got to have actual weapons.
And, yeah, exactly. I kind of I'd hoped it would be something like that. Almost kind of like very similar to Ender's Game.
We know how Larry feels about that movie.
Anyway, so it was pretty much what I expected. that being said, before I start getting into, let me preface my shit here by saying that before I start getting more critical and we start debating and going at it about this movie,
I'm gonna get whiplash going between you two.
yeah, let me just say that Resurgence was better than I thought it was going to be.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
For the most part.
It was definitely enjoyable. Would I watch it again? Maybe. Maybe. I'm not in a hurry to watch it again, but yeah, right mood, I'd watch it again.
I'm gonna watch it tonight when you guys leave. Bro.
You're gonna have an ID for marathon.
Up all night.
Up all night, geek all day. Yeah, so let me just state that so nobody gets the impression like, wow, Larry hates this movie. No, I didn't. I actually didn't hate the movie. It was enjoyable. Like I said, when it was done, I said, okay, that was actually better than I thought it was, because I really thought, especially after as poorly, because I didn't see the movie until recently. I didn't see it until I got the DVD. I really thought it was going to be a stinker by the way that movie bombed. And well, I guess it didn't bomb. That's not fair to sit there and say it bombed. It's the way we do shit, and I even fall victim of doing it too, and I need to smack myself for that shit because I get so angry at it. It didn't fucking bomb. It like doubled what the budget. It almost tripled the budget.
Oh wow.
It did.
A lot of that was overseas market, I believe.
Its overseas market is
a lot of China. Yeah, because
yeah.
A lot of this movie has a bunch of Chinese actors, Chinese storylines. They did that on purpose, I believe.
But
smart.
It is.
It is smart. But yeah, because they had Angela Baby.
Yeah, whoever that is.
Angela Baby. Playing the Chinese female fighter pilot. That being said, I read
Okay.
I read that actually it underperformed what they were hoping it was going to perform in China. They expected, they were really gambling on
China to pull through.
China was going to just fucking suck the big old dick of this fucking movie. And China was just like,
oh boy.
China was just kind of like, we'll nibble at that dick. But like,
give it a hand job maybe.
They kind of hand jobbed it. They sort of, they kind of took their thumb and like rubbed the head a little bit. But
he teased it a little.
They weren't going to commit to it. That's
but they weren't. Yeah, China did not take a full load on the chest. There was no fucking splooge on the chest of China. They were just like, we're not doing that. And I guess it was because they were a little bummed. I guess China. I think there was too much hype about that. I think China was expecting it to be even more China centric, and it wasn't. And so they were kind of like, okay, this,
Well, it was just the two actors, the girl and the uncle, right?
Yeah, as far as like the main people on screen.
Right, and I think they were expecting a little bit more, or maybe
Did they show scenes of China? I don't remember.
Yes, so there's it's real brief. There's a scene they kind of ape the first movie. You know where the guy's looking up in the rearview mirror and he sees the destruction coming?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
A cabbie sees that and he gets out of his car and there's a Chinese guy with headphones. He's like, "Whoa, what are you leaving for?" And he gets out and he sees all that shit. He gets lifted up by the gravity, which, okay, I will say that was pretty dumb. The gravity thing. What I had thought it was an actual gravity weapon that the ship had. Mm-hmm. But apparently it wasn't. It was supposed to be the own ship's gravity because it was so humongous that it lifted, but that doesn't make sense.
Well, they use it several times in this movie, don't they?
Yeah. But then it would have thrown off, I think, the entire gravity of the whole planet if it was that massive. It would have made more sense if they actually had a gravity weapon. Then I get it. You come in, you scoop it up with the gravity weapon, and you just throw it somewhere else, and then you land, and it's done. It replaces the laser cannon beam. That makes sense to me. But the way they did it was, that wasn't my favorite part of the movie.
Vito has a bitch about it. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
well, he's got to have something compared to my laundry list. Yes,
I do have one bitch myself before you get started.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not ready to get started.
Okay, I just wanted to put it out there now. Before you go.
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
So, let me know when.
Win.
I'll hold it.
All right. Well,
I'll cross
anyway,
my legs and hold it.
good luck with that. Don't wet the seat, okay, please.
I'll try. No promises.
Anyway, so to finish my point there, this movie didn't bomb. It bombed in the Hollywood modern day terms of bombing, because compared to how the first movie almost made $1 billion, which at the time that's unheard of. I mean, the first movie was a fucking blockbuster.
It's one of the biggest blockbusters of the 90s. It was number one in the whole year, I believe.
It was number one
Wow.
for the year, and for a while it was like number 2, like an all-time.
Right?
kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's since been surpassed. I mean, it's hard to hold that record after 20 years.
But they did that. I think the first movie was like it was under $100 million. It was like $75 million for that movie, whereas this new one was like 100.
Yeah, the
70 or
first
some
the
bullshit.
first movie cost a little less than 100 mil, and it made over 800 mil at the box office. The
Jeez.
box office. We're not even counting, because I mean, how many times have people bought and rented that movie?
And it plays literally every fucking July
year.
4th.
Right,
Yeah.
and when you consider how much it costs to get played on cable and Netflix and TNT and all that, like, that movie's made fucking bank. Made bank, son. So comparatively, this movie, Resurgence, costing like 170 mil or whatever it was, or 160 mil, and only making just shy of like 400 mil, it's considered a failure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. To me, that's not a fucking outright failure. It's just like, I hate when they do that, Here we're going to get into my fuck you list thing again, I'll try to keep my fuck you list to a minimum this time, folks. But I hate when they do things like those unrealistic, like, expectations like that. Like, it's like I remember when Michael Jackson came out with Bad back in, what was that, 87, 88, And it was his first album after Thriller, which had come out in 82, I believe, late 82. And I remember Bad only sold, like 10 million.
Only.
And they were, or something like that. Or at the time it had only sold, within a year or two, it had only sold something like 10 mil or 8 mil, or so, it was something like that. And they were like, whoa, what a letdown, compared to how much you sold this last album. It's like, motherfucker, that was Thriller. Are you kidding?
Isn't that still like one of the toppest grossing albums of all time?
Thriller?
Or something? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, you can't, what
Not
kind of
every
asshole
album's going to be like that.
like every time he's going to, he puts out a new album, it's going to, we expect the next album to sell 200 million. It's like, you're a dick. If you, like,
That's
unrealistic.
corporate for you.
It is
Corporate America.
That is so fucking corporate. And yeah, I won't get on that. I won't do it.
We need a fuck you, corporate America. So
Fuck
we can
you,
put the telly. There we go.
Fuck you, corporate
There we go.
America.
Thank you.
Fuck you. Unrealistic, stupid expectations, and should fucking know better.
Oh, fuck.
So anyway, yeah, I don't, and it's a shame in some ways that this movie didn't do better, because I think it, in similar ways to like Solo, I think it deserves a second look. I think it deserves better. That being said, I have some issues with this movie, but first things first. So for both of you guys, because you've seen it and everything, yeah. Let's address like the elephant in the room of Will Smith is not in this movie. So how did you end up feeling about that? Because that's a pretty big omission.
That is a big omission. But at the same time, like, yeah, it sucks he wasn't in it, but I enjoyed the movie without him being in it. And I understand why. I mean, well, the real reason why is apparently this movie was going to be split up into 2 sequels. Mm-hmm. And they wanted Will Smith for both of them. But Will Smith wanted $50 million for both of them. And the studio said, no way. We're not giving you that kind of money for this.
Wow.
So that's why he's not in it. Now, in the prequels in the novel and in the movie, he ends up dying. He's the test pilot for the first H-7 fighter jet,
Right.
which is like the first time they tried mixing alien technology with the Air Force, and it blew up because of the fusion engine like had a problem with it.
Right.
And Jeff Goldblum's character knew there was a problem with it, but the military was like, listen, the world is expecting us to deliver on this promise.
That's typical.
I don't give a shit. Get out there and show them what we can do. And Jeff Goldblum's like, listen, I'm not going to do this. And Will Smith is like, listen, I know it's dangerous. I'm going to take the risk. And he pretty much sacrificed himself so the program could continue, even though there was backlash because he obviously died. But
right.
I mean,
K-19 him.
Yeah, pretty
Put him
much.
out there before it was ready.
Yeah, only this time it was in Moscow, but yeah.
Right.
Good reference there.
Yeah, I know.
I think I heard about the whole thing about the 50 mil and,
I wonder how much those 2 pictures cost. Get those 2 little cameo pictures.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Well, you don't know what was like in the contract. There might have been certain stipulations in the contract.
That could have been like a DVD rip or something that they already bought rights to use his image for. They
Yeah,
just printed out the DVD.
There could be certain things in the contract stating that we have the rights to use your likeness, or maybe a certain amount of dialogue from the old movie, or so. Who knows? They're getting into all those kind of details that there could be in there. But I thought about the same thing. I think that was a mistake on their part, man. I really think that was a mistake on their part. I think there was a bunch of mistakes on their part with things that for me, there's a lot of coulda, shoulda with this movie. It's not even so much that what was there was bad. It's just like missed opportunities. And
they had the groundwork.
But they
didn't.
What you just told me there about from the book, about the whole thing about that, how that went down, because they talk about it in the movie that he died in a test. They kind of just almost
glossed over it.
Kind of toss it as a thing, and I'm like,
no, but he plays his character is a pivotal role in that situation.
But that little bit that you just told us about was far more fucking interesting and compelling than a good portion of the story and the way it was presented in this fucking movie. And that is what this movie needed. That is where it is lacking for me. And I think that's why I'm frustrated about it, because this movie, like, okay, I know you love it. So I ain't talking about, you're just like, I fucking love it. But I'm talking about the overall, obviously pretty much general consensus, which given the low numbers and all this stuff that it made and ratings and stuff, I think most people seem to kind of feel about it. I think that this movie was lacking in areas like that, especially in emotional context. This movie should have fucking started with that. Even if they fucking said, listen, Will, we only need you to show up for like 1 day of fucking filming. We need, we'll still pay you fucking 25 mil or something to be in it, and they should have started the movie with that. And it would have started on a pretty weighty note, because it's bad enough not having him in the movie and then just kind of like writing him off. But my biggest issue with this movie is that the first movie, as I said earlier, had a great balance of humor, badass action, creepy shit, grabbing onto your table like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? And like drama, you know what I mean? People dying, like people like affecting you. And this movie did not have that same balance. This movie has great action, really kick-ass action, kick-ass special effects. Mm-hmm. It's a good...
Cool aliens.
Yeah, it's like... And the sci-fi aspect of this movie is pretty much... Yeah, it's pretty much spot on. There's like no dramatic weight to this movie. And every time I thought there was going to be, it didn't happen.
I agree with that. There's a lot of fell short moments there.
You bring Vivica Fox's character back.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. You bring Vivica Fox's character back, and killing her off? Brilliant. That's brilliant. Absolutely. Because you don't see that coming at first. You're like, but when it happened, it was like, oh shit, damn, like you thought it would be this like moment, and instead it was just like that happened, and then like they just kind of like, oh shit, there she goes, she falls, and it's like, Mom, and then the next thing is just like, oh boy, what's the kid's name? David? No, not David.
No,
Dylan. Next thing is Dylan's just in the locker room, and he's just kind of like, damn. You know, like he's all just like, damn, I couldn't help her. You know, I couldn't save her. And I'm just like, that dude should be losing his fucking mind. Like that scene when it got to that scene in the locker room with Dylan and Jake. You know, because they kind of set up that tension between them. In
the books, it's well more defined of why there's tension and what happened to them.
Right, and it's probably, and in the movie, like, especially after all that happened, and I'm just like, and Jake's there, and I'm like, oh boy, Dylan's he's gonna freak out if this motherfucker Stiff Jakes tries talking to him. Like, he's just gonna lose it after losing, you know, you figure you know, his father died, saves the world, and then dies uselessly in this fucking test thing, like you said.
Yeah.
Does that. Then, on top of it, Dylan's got, like, the whole world on his fucking shoulders. He's got to live up to being like his dad or better. And how much fucking pressure is that? And then he has to watch, and then with all that, he has to watch his mom die, and he can't even fucking save her. And it happens, like, right in fucking front of him and everything. Like, at that point, he should have grabbed Jake and just been like, motherfucker, you don't tell me you know what I've been through. You know, and it could have been this like intense, amazing apex of the tension of those two characters just coming to a head, and Jake just really feeling the whole like, damn, you know. And, you know, not to mention, you almost killed me with your stupid stunt that you pulled in that valley, you know, in that flight stunt and everything. Like, it was like right there. It was right there. Like that could have been bitching. And it was just sort of like, I know how you feel, bro. Yeah, damn. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and then they kind of, and I was like, oh. And here, you know, listen, seriously, just to try and sum it up, because I'm not going to sit here and break down every little thing because I'll be here all day. None of us wants it. But here's the problem. In terms of like the emotional, the dramatic weight of this movie that could have been there, it's like this movie dramatically should have came at you like a really big, hard dick.
Always with the dicks tonight.
Back to the dicks.
You know, because it's like, it should be like, you know, like, it should have been there, like, ready to fuck, you know what I mean? And to just penetrate and everything. And, you know what I mean? And it should have been intense. It should add some weight.
Like a hate fuck or something.
Weight. Yeah. It should have had weight and girth. You understand? And instead, you know what this movie does? It smashes you with a floppy. No, I'm serious. It just smashes you with a floppy. Because it's like, it's only
It's
like
never good.
which is no. It's like it'll still kind of get the job done. Like you get there in the end, you know what I mean? But it's just this sort of flaccid, like it doesn't. It's flaccid, is what I'm trying to say. It should have been. This movie should have been. It had so much potential to be an emotional, like mind fuck. You know what I mean? The Earth is getting attacked a second time by these motherfuckers, and they're even more badass than they were the first time. We adapted all their technology that we could, and they adapted to that, and they're kicking our ass again. They're trying to fucking drill through the goddamn core of the planet. And they just, so many opportunities there. I'll just bring up one other, like, example of something where I'm like, what? The Irish dudes in the fishing boat.
I was just thinking about that.
Like, the whole thing that they're out there, they think that, like, they're just going to get drunk because they're like, fuck it, you know, we're all dead. The whole planet's dead now. Like,
lost their $100 million booty, you
right,
know?
and all this kind of stuff. And then they tell him, well, we'll stay out here and monitor this shit for you guys, and for $100 million. And they say deal, and they're like, oh shit, all right, And that was great. Like I loved that. Was awesome. That was a great part. And I was like, oh, cool. So again, more characters they introduced that you're like, okay, cool. What's gonna happen? What are these guys gonna do? Like.
Jack shit. They don't do shit.
True.
They don't do anything.
They miscalculate so that we have a shorter time frame to get to the end of the movie.
We thought we had 6
2 days. We only have 1 hour.
We got like 1 hour. We thought we had.
Gotta wrap this movie up, guys. Come on.
Yeah, and they're like, and everything, and then they just sit there like tense, and then it gets down to like less than a minute, and then they're just like, yeah, kick ass, we're millionaires, and I'm like. That's it? That's all you gave us with those characters? Like if it would have been something like they needed to, we gotta, maybe there, what can, some kind of thing.
They have to do something to.
They should have had something to do with some kind of sacrifice. And it had it be like, we need to go drive the ship into that and, blah, blah, blah. And maybe it'll disrupt it just long enough to buy them an extra 5 minutes and everything. And them saying like, but, fuck that, let's get out of here. We don't even care about the money. And them saying, you know what, at this point, it's not about the money. Fuck the money. It's for the good of the world. And show that they're like
had a change of heart.
Yeah, because they're fucking
good guys.
because they're sailors, and it's like, you know what I mean, and they have a code and all that, and that's what I thought.
Sailor code. They gotta honor the sailor.
Well, I mean, I just thought they were gonna be, there was gonna be some dignity.
Yeah.
Just like Russell in the first movie, like they showed all these different people with fucking dignity. There was this dignity there, and. No, they just didn't do anything. They just sat there monitoring, and then the aliens, then we won, and they were like, "Oh, kick ass, let's get fucking drunk, brother," and I was just like, "Oh, okay," and that's what I'm saying. It's not that was terrible, but it was just a floppy. It was a floppy. It could have been if they would have made some great ultimate sacrifice, willing to like, all right, we're gonna go to our end. We're gonna go down with the ship to save the world. Fuck the money, and that's not what it's about anymore. That would have been fucking, hard-ass dick. Instead, it was just kind of floppy. Flaccid. And then, one last thing is, I'll keep it brief. Tell me if I'm right. If you disagree with me, tell me
No,
I'm
I think you're right. I think they were going for a different tone in this film. What you're describing would have been fucking awesome, but they weren't going for that, which... Sometimes I'm guilty of putting plot above, like, drama.
Right.
And stuff, and I'm definitely guilty of that in this movie because I love the plot of how it pans out. So I was willing to forgive those mistakes. But, yeah, dude, if they did some of that, this movie would not have flopped, I think, and wouldn't gotten those bad reviews. I think it would have
done better. I think it would have done better because I think it would have been more in tune with what people would have wanted in terms of how things are nowadays and stuff. And I think it would have felt like a more worthy successor to the first one because I do feel like the first one had weight. And this one last thing I'll say about it in terms of if people want to say, well, there was some way and everything. Okay, there was, but again, I feel like they went about it a little funky. And here's one thing that was a little bit of a bummer. Bill Pullman's character and the way he goes out, sacrificing himself.
He's the new Randy Quaid.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think that's great. And I think it made perfect sense. Like that aspect of it made perfect sense. I have no beef at all with it. Directorially, I have a beef with it because they gave it away. They gave it when Russell makes that sacrifice and everything in the movie, you're not expecting it. You know that he's gonna go to battle or whatever. You figure, okay, he's gonna, but you don't know he's gonna do that. You don't know, like, oh shit, old boy's gonna bite it for that. He's gonna fly, like. And when it happens, you're like, I'm sure you were, he was like, oh, oh, dude. And when his son's there and
What
realizes
is he doing?
and everything, and it's like, and
Not
everybody's come
Keanu
to the
Reeves, kid?
realization, and it's like, you know, it's a little teary. Like, you're like, damn, like,
Dude,
awesome.
the end of that movie always tears me up, man.
Right.
No joke.
Right.
Sorry I'm late, Mr. President.
Right.
Oh, man, dude.
Right.
When that scene kicks in, yeah, he's fucking coming to save the day, man.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. And they could have given the same weight, if not more so, because goddamn Bill Pullman's character was so lovable. Like, he was the hero, man.
Yeah.
He was the hero president. And they should not have let us know that he was going to do that. That he was going to be... They gave it away. The fucking new president, fucking jerk-face president guy that gets sworn in.
William Fichtner?
Yeah, that guy. He is standing there telling them, like, I'm going to need somebody to basically give their life to fly this, you know, we've got this plan, blah, blah, blah. And then Pullman says, I'm going to do it. You know, and I know they tried to again, flaccidly deflect us with the
Daughter.
daughter saying, don't let him on there. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, as soon as they introduce that plot point that somebody's going to have to give their life and do a Russell maneuver to save us, and then, you know, Pullman steps up and says, I'll do it. Well, then you know. Like, you know
That's it.
You know he's dead. And they did that, like, a considerable, 10 minutes, 15 minutes
Yeah.
before he did finally bite it. And so by the time it actually happens... does that make sense what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's, that was my biggest problem with this movie was all those kind of things. And
There's more than just, like, in the books, you find out that Jeff Goldblum's character, David, his wife dies in a car accident just randomly. And they had just gotten back
That
together.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, see.
And he hooked up with the Catherine woman, who's like that French woman that's like translating the
Yes,
symbols.
yeah, well, yeah.
He ends up having a fling with her like a couple years before.
But that was kind of like a
After.
rebound, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because he had just lost his wife a couple years earlier.
Yeah, so
whatever,
he's just
yeah.
rebounding.
But that could have been another good plot point to make. They should have made the 3 pictures. It should have been a
Yes.
trilogy. The second movie should have been all of this stuff happening with him losing his wife, more of the stuff with Dylan growing up and Jake with their fucking fighter shit.
Yeah.
Building up to this climactic super ending of the third movie where they could have focused on just the wow aspect. And they could have used the drama in the second one and kind of built that up. But, I mean, it is what it is at this point, you know?
You're right, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So that's why I want it to be understood. It's not like I'm sitting there saying, oh, no, Resurgence is garbage and fucking it's terrible. It's not that. For me, what's so disappointing about it is its missed opportunities because there's so much more opportunity for some drama there, you know? And you bring back characters, like I said, like Vivica Fox and Bill Pullman. You bring them back to basically kill them off, to in essence use them as a means of giving weight to the movie, and then you fuck up and don't give it the proper weight. It was almost like, why even bother, you know? Like, a lot of missed opportunities. Now since I've been going on about this, let's get into more of the good about it. What?
Oh, Megan's got her little tidbit she wants to say.
Somebody went on a rant before I got my turn.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's my fault. Okay, tell me. I'm curious to hear this. Oh jeez. I'm not the one that shit all over Twister, all right? So don't give me that look. Damn.
My biggest complaint was that Judd Hirsch, why can't I say his name? Judd Hirsch and the kids. There was absolutely no point for them to even be in this movie. They did, again, like the sailors, they did absolutely nothing. They were just there to be there. And then to be in the way at the end so the queen could attack their school bus for some reason.
Yeah, the only reason they're probably in the movie is so kids would go see the movie, so they had somebody to identify with. I totally get what you're saying. For
Yeah,
sure.
I don't disagree with you.
I didn't see a point for them. I didn't like that part at all.
Well, your father's a putz. I love when he calls that kid's father a fucking...
My father says that this is all a conspiracy. Well, your father's a putz. that was a great part.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. But to counterpoint that a little bit, the funny thing about that is that I felt like the girl who was that was driving, the oldest of the kids, I felt like her, and maybe the problem is they could have even delved a little more into it to make it more poignant and have it, but I felt like her being there and her crying and him trying to relate to her and all that, and like trying to make her realize, like, sorry, you have to grow up right now. You know what I mean? Like, now, you know, your siblings rely on you. You're basically like mom now and everything. And her just like trying, I mean, she doesn't even, you know, she's not,
like
not even a
14 or
driver.
whatever
She's
she was,
driving
yeah.
them in this car. There's all this stress, and she was supposed to be like 14. She's breaking down. Ironically, whereas I do agree with you that they made it kind of pointless overall, at the same time, it's one of the only fucking points and characters that actually gave this movie any emotional weight.
I just think they needed something to do with the aliens or something to help with the plot of the movie to bring it all together. If they had that, just that one little part.
Yeah.
Right. No,
where they like help take down the alien or something. No, they're just dodging her in the school bus.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Use the school bus to take her down, trip her, something.
Yeah.
That would give her something. Then I'd be okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, that would have made sense if they would have
Slam on the brakes, have a real cool twist on the side, and trip her.
Instead, they ended up just being like fucking, you know, sitting ducks, you know, more or less, and being in the way.
They almost fucked up David's plan.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, being in the way. Right. Yeah.
That's my David.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't disagree with you. You're right about that. I'm just saying it's ironic that whole thing with the
one
girl
part that had the weight.
is one of the few characters in the whole movie that actually had an emotional weight to her, where I was like, yeah, man, fuck, I feel bad for her. And she acted it very well. That I don't know who that young actress was, but she did a very good job of it. It was very believable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, excuse me. So, okay. Yeah, that's valid. But in any case, yeah, she did a good job. You know, those kids had some, the kids, like you said, there's a few good lines, you know, gave Judder something to do. And it was kind of nice that but see, again, and you know what? Let's get into right now. I would like to talk about that, and let's talk about, because you already mentioned it, the novels, you know, the difference between what was pen and paper put down on that and what got put on the screen. Like, let's get into that. It feels to me then like, even though we're in different levels of appreciation or whatever for Resurgence, it feels like we're all kind of in agreement, especially the more you're telling me about it, that the books definitely, in terms of that deeper, not plot, but, you know.
There's definitely more backstory, and you get more of that emotional weight, I'd say, that they didn't have time or
didn't bother
putting in the movies. But as far as, like, if we'll start from the beginning, like, obviously just the Independence Day novelization, which is basically just the movie in book form.
Okay.
Then you've got one called Silent Zone, which is like a prequel. That deals with Brackish Oaken, his time in the 70s, going to work for Area 51 and working on the ship and learning all this stuff, and how there's like this big global conspiracy to keep this silent from the world. Very cool stuff. And then in War in the Desert, which is basically the sequel to the movie, this happens literally on July 4th and 5th, maybe 6th, where if you guys remember the first movie, like, there's a bunch of like British dudes in this Saudi Arabian camp, like, ooh, the Americans have a plan, it's about bloody time. Yeah. Well, it follows those guys, and they literally like launch an airstrike against the mothership in Saudi Arabia. Then there's literally a ground war with the aliens.
Oh.
Because after they bring the ships down, there's literally millions of aliens still alive. And they actually come out of the ship, grow these plants to kind of take over the planet and the ecology. So these guys have to fight them like hand-to-hand combat with guns, sometimes jumping in these carriages that the aliens use. It's almost like a chariot with like these weird centipede legs on there.
Oh, you must love that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of creepy. But you can only control it using your mind, and you have to be in this weird state, it was a little weird. But if you got in the right state of mind, you could control this little chariot and use it as like a dune buggy, pretty much. But, I mean, that would have made an interesting like segue point if it was the ground war. Then it leads up to the climactic finale when they come back 20 years later.
Right.
Now we got this massive space battle to contend with. That would have been cool, but it is what it is. Then we've got Crucible, which is the prequel to the newest one. This one goes into the backstory of like Dylan and Jake.
Nice.
Basically, right after it happens, like Jake is on like a camping trip, and he knows that his parents died. So a bunch of these kids get sent to an orphanage.
Right.
That's where he finds Charlie, which is like his co-pilot dude on the moon.
Right.
So it's kind of their story, and then how he gets to become a fighter jet pilot, and him and Dylan are both going after the president's daughter.
Oh, right.
I forgot what her first name is, the Whitmore girl.
Yeah.
So they've got this kind of fling triangle thing going on. Obviously, Jake ends up with her, but there's always this kind of resentment. Dylan doesn't want to make sure she doesn't get hurt. Yeah, Patricia. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And then obviously just the Resurgence novelization, which is pretty much the same as the movie. There isn't much difference. So.
Okay. Well, see, then that's the problem I have then right there is because they made Resurgence and they just left out a shit ton of the fucking story.
Yeah.
And I just and so just by what you're telling me, just that little bit you're telling me, I'm going, oh, okay. So yeah, they fucked up, man. No offense, dude. I know you love that movie and everything, and I get it. It's a good movie, but they really fucked up. And to me, that's if they would have done another movie, or if they should have done the two movies, and they should have done
Crucible and then Resurgence.
Right. Yeah.
That's what they should have done. Mm-hmm. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Fix it.
They should have done that.
And they should make a Netflix TV series based on the ending of Resurgence, where Data goes, "We're going to kick some alien ass."
Yeah. Man.
Going to the home planet of the Sphere, learning all those techniques and weapons to use against the harvesters.
That could be pretty cool.
That would be fucking awesome.
I was just going to say, I mean, that's, if we want to like just jump into that right now.
All right.
Let's get into that. What does the future hold for the human race and the fucking aliens and stuff? I mean, like where, you just kind of said, I mean, so you in your mind, you're kind of picturing, as opposed to maybe another movie, you would like to see something more maybe like a Netflix series?
Yeah, so what I have in mind is kind of like what they did with Stargate SG-1, which is Stargate, Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, Stargate being another one of my top 5 movies of all time. So Roland Emmerich has 2 movies in my top 5 list of all time. And he's one of, a lot of people hate Roland Emmerich.
Yeah.
But when he does sci-fi good, he does it fucking good, man. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so at Stargate SG-1, they continue the story of Stargate, but they go to different worlds, be different aliens and stuff. So what if they did that with this series? We go meet up with that Sphere, digital society. We learn all their stuff. They send us to different worlds. We fight the harvesters and do kind of like a spin-off, series. That would be awesome.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I think it would work better in that context than another movie. I don't think another movie would, even if it was really, really good, I don't think it would succeed.
No. And I'm very confident they will not make another movie.
Yeah.
Based on this one, I don't see it. And if it's going to be in another 20 years when people forget about it?
No, because they originally had planned, they said Emmerich had said that if it did well, they were going to do the third movie, and it was going to pick up maybe a year or 2 years after the end of Resurgence, and it was going to get into all that you just talked about. But there's no talk about making a movie, and but I agree with you. I think doing something more like a Netflix series where people will watch. I think people are like, oh, they're going to do this as a Netflix series. All right, I'll check it out. And then word of mouth, if it's good, people be like, dude, check it out. It's actually really fucking good. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
I think it would be better that way.
I think it would do well with that. But in terms of, as we've seen with recent movies, like Solo, that when people make up their minds, they pre-make up their minds about what they're going to leave the house for or not leave the house for, or just assume is going to be shit. You can't change that easily. So, especially after Resurgence and how that was received, no, another movie wouldn't do well. but it's a damn shame if they don't
Do something.
do something with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's so much potential in this storyline. I mean,
Yeah, I had no idea there was that many books.
yeah, and they're fun reads, man. They're interesting topics. I mean, wouldn't you want to see a movie where we're fighting these fucking guys on the ground with, you know, machine guns and they're using their laser cannons and shit? Like, how awesome would that be?
Well, I love the idea.
That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that I forgot to mention is their technology isn't mechanical based, it's biologically based. So their ships are actually made of biological material.
Okay.
These exosuits are not mechanical. They're actually a biological creature
Gotcha.
that they hollowed out.
overtake,
Almost like
right?
a cocoon.
Right, yeah, and they use it as their exosuit and stuff. Those like chariot centipede things are biological creatures, so it's very interesting.
That is interesting. And what I was going to say is I would love to see, you know, I love the idea of introducing other alien species into this storyline. It's like, because all we've had up to this point is just these fucking, these buggy fucks.
In our sphere.
And humans. And then we get that sphere and it's like, okay, cool. And I get that they didn't do more with that because that was just introducing that. And yeah, I mean, it's all set up for it. I think it could be great.
Well, it mentions it because it says we take survivors from the other planets and stuff, and we train them.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
We
like,
take
how
them. So-
badass could that be?
Yeah, like new aliens that we don't know about that we team up with. I mean, it'd be fucking great.
Yeah. Good old Star Trek.
Yeah,
That's how it starts.
there you go.
That's true.
That's how the Federation starts.
Yeah.
Always comes back to Star Trek.
Sure does.
Never fails.
But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to see that because, like you said, it's funny. I mean, like I said, I remember back in '96, you know, people being divided on their opinions of ID4.
Yeah.
But it did gangbusters. You know, it did really well, and I have to be honest. I am surprised when I've started doing more research for this retrospective review we're doing. Man, people fucking hate these movies. Like, and once again, I don't get it. Saying, oh, it's corny. Well, it's jingoistic and it's so 90s. And I get that. But they're also just like good fucking entertainment. It's just entertaining. Like,
It's a science fiction action film. Like, what do you expect? What are you expecting out of this? Shakespeare? I mean, it's not.
No, it's not that they're expecting Shakespeare. They're expecting Deadpool meets Saw meets, Alien on 10. You know what I mean? Like, that's people nowadays they want that shit, and I don't agree. I don't agree. I'm sorry. I don't want that. I like these movies where there's nothing wrong with knowing at the end of the movie we're going to win. It's nice. You know what I mean? It's kind of nice for a change. Just as long as you keep me on the edge of my seat at times and everything. And Resurgence, like I said, it didn't do that as much as I would have liked it to. It had opportunities to do it. It didn't do it. I think just by incorporating more of the books and some of that could have done that.
It was there for them to pull from.
It was there
apparently.
to do it. And it almost feels like they had to, like, real quick just kind of give us, like, the lean cuisine version of it or something.
I think they were trying to make another big blockbuster movie. And I don't know if the tone that they kept from the 90s works in this day and age. I don't know.
Yeah, but I even think that it was, you know what? It was almost like they didn't commit either way. It was like, well, we don't want to get too dark and too weighty and too emotional and stuff because that's not in the style of what ID4 was about and everything. But then at the same time, they didn't really go that 90s over-the-top kind of blockbuster feel either. Like, they could have really made it even more like that, and then we would have gone, oh, okay, well, it's supposed to be that. That's what I said. It was like this weird limp in the middle kind of thing. It's like, just kind of peters out. It just, at times anyway, not the whole movie, but at times it just, certain aspects of it just kind of peters out, and I think they fucked up with that. And it's a shame because, you know, Resurgence, whether it's real good or not so great or whatever, where they were going with this story, where it ended with Oaken saying, like, we just learned 1,000 years worth of, like, astrophysics and stuff, like, the shit that we're going to be able to do now, and now we're going to get out there and interstellar travel and meet other species, and they're going to join with us, and we're going to fight. Like, it's like, I heard that, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's a story I want to hear. Like, that sounds awesome. And almost like Resurgence is just sort of like this sort of bridging kind of thing, you know? Like, we needed this movie to get us to the real fucking story, the real badass story. Sorry, I'm blocking you.
All right.
Fucking, you know. But, no, I mean,
kind of like Solo is supposed to be.
Huh?
Kind of like Solo, supposed to be a bridge to get us to
Or the
others.
Super Mario Brothers movie from like 1992. What? Daisy comes back. Mario, Luigi, you're never gonna believe this. She's got the gun. You're like, oh my god, they're gonna make a sequel, and they never did.
Sure.
I've never seen
That would have been a good bridge. You never seen Super Mario Brothers movie?
That.
Oh
But I
my.
hate it because you hate Twister, so fuck you.
Was Twister 94 or 92?
94.
I think it was 94. Well. Super Mario Brothers would have given your Twister a run for its money, I bet, if it came out in 94.
Nope.
What if it would have been Mario and Luigi and, like, one of their, like, Mario Kart things trying to outrun fucking Twisters?
Dude.
Oh, that you go for.
Fucking, like, Yoshi or whatever all of a sudden come flying out, like, from the tornado and everything. It's like, you know, dragon, dinosaur, whatever he's supposed to be.
Another dragon.
Another dragon. Like, all of a sudden, fucking, what do they call those things? Koopas or whatever?
Yeah. The Koopa
Koopas
Trooper.
are, like, flying around and everything. You know, we have to release like 1,000
the
Koopas into the cyclone to be able to measure.
We gotta measure it.
Yeah.
Send back readings.
Yeah.
So we can save hundreds of lives.
Oh, maybe we'll talk about Super Mario Brothers in a later date. Or maybe not.
I think we need to do an episode where, you know, maybe we
We
like.
need this video game.
Well, yeah, but I was gonna say we could do
Movies
like a
based on
we could do
videos.
like a 3 way thing. Not that kind of 3-way. It ain't that kind of show.
You're the one talking about floppy dicks.
It's that kind of show. When you're talking about some of these choices they made, then it's that kind of show. But anyway, no, I mean we could do something where, like, you know, you talk about Super Mario and she talks about Twister, and I'll pick some other fucked up movie, like, and we can debate, like, you know,
Which one is better?
yeah, and see if we can rank them and see if we can change each other's minds about it. Because, dude, Super Mario Brothers movie, fucking for real.
Dude, it's a fun movie, man.
Oh my god.
Do you guys agree with me that it's a fun movie? Comment below. We'll see how many comments we get on this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like all this other bullshit we've talked about. Super Mario Brothers, we're getting fucking serious now.
I want Twister. Let me know what you think about Twister.
I haven't even. I'll have to think about what I can put up there to match with Twister, and I like Twister, so put up
There's
with
one vote for Twister.
Twister
Just
and
saying.
Super Mario Brothers. I don't know even know.
Street Fighter the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh my
Another
god.
good one. You ever see that one?
No.
Ooh.
But I like John Claude.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even say it.
He's-
I like him.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme. So
Back to Will Smith in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's a scene in one of the episodes where he's looking in the mirror and he goes, Jean-Claude Van Damme, I'm fine. Anyway.
that was their way of, like, getting cursing
Yeah.
on network
Yeah.
television back in the early 90s and stuff. Anyway, so let's just wrap it up and talk about
Wrap that dick up.
clean
It's
it
gonna be
up.
floppy. At least wrap it up.
Yeah, if you're gonna smash her with a floppy, at least wrap it up, because that shit's still gonna leak, man. All right, so I think it's getting time to, like, start wrapping it up. Wrap it up.
That's a wrap.
Yep, that's a wrap. You got to wrap up the floppy.
Yeah, put that thing in. Protect it.
Yeah, you got to protect the floppy. Wrap it up. No, but seriously, final thoughts. What's your final thoughts, Vito? We'll start with you because I know you have the most thoughts about this whole franchise. What's your thoughts about Independence Day?
I love it very dearly. I do understand how the second film does have its missed marks, missed opportunities for sure. But for me, I let the plot, unfortunately, erase those memories for me, and I just focus on how badass it is. Like I said, if you're into the stories, definitely pick up the old books and read them because they're fun. You get more backstory, a couple new stories. I really hope they continue with this series into a Netflix direction or some kind of other spin-off series because I think that would be very damn cool.
Yeah. What about you? Anything to say?
I just totally froze.
All right. No. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that even with the criticisms I have of Resurgence and stuff, I do think it's worth watching. I know a lot of people didn't watch it because they just assumed it was going to be bad, or like me, they heard a lot of bad things about it and said, "Oh, fuck it," you know. I think it's worth it. I do think that it's good having these kind of movies. I think they're fun. I think they're entertaining. Both of these movies are entertaining, and I do think that if you haven't watched them yet, you should. And either way, if you haven't or if you have, just going by what you were telling me and what I've read and all this stuff, I think it's imperative that you read the books.
Yeah, I want to check out those books.
For sure,
I
yeah.
might be borrowing those from you.
Yeah, and you can, and you were saying before that you can get them in paper form or you can download them on audible.com.
Yep, Audible's got Crucible and Resurgence, which obviously deal with the new movie. They do not currently have the first three, but just read them, man. I mean, they're good.
Yeah,
Just do it.
Just fucking read, you fucking illiterate assholes. Fuck, pick up a book. Read a goddamn book.
Reading Rainbow, fuckers.
Yeah.
That's our suggestion.
Yeah. Read a motherfucking book. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, make like fucking Geordie LaForge and Reading Rainbow that shit.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Hell yeah.
But in any case, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna probably I'll probably Audible.
There is a comic book that we forgot to mention called Dark Fathom, which is it happened. I think it happens right after the first one or right before the second one, where there's like a submarine captain. Which I should have read it because I love submarines, right?
Oh, we know with your whole K-19 thing. Yeah.
So yeah, he has to go down. There's a ship underwater digging or drilling, so he has to go examine it, investigate it. So
Gotcha. That sounds cool. You'll have to check that out.
Now, did the books come first, or did the movies, or is it movie books?
So it was the first movie, then we get obviously the novelization, then the two stories after that. I think they came out in 97 or 98. And then Crucible came out a few months before the new movie, and then the novelization of the new movie obviously came out like the week before the movie.
Okay.
I actually read The Crucible on the first Maryland Death Fest trip we took, Larry. I brought this book with me.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Was that when I was laying there watching that fucked up spelling bee and shit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh man, that spelling bee. Yeah, we were watching these kids, fucking these intense fucking kids trying to fucking answer the spelling things. It was like one of those national spelling bee things and stuff. It was that's what you do on tour, folks. You know.
Is that the Charlie Brown when they're in spelling bee and they get it wrong and they go, boop,
dude,
it's gone. Boop,
that is one of my favorite things in the whole universe. I love from a boy named Charlie Brown. It's like it's like you have to spell some word and it's like, and then the kid gets it wrong and you just hear the voice go wah, wah. Because they just have these like heads. They don't show their whole bodies. They just show the different round peanuts heads and Kid goes spelled like difficult. DIFICULT. Difficult. And his head would just pop. Oh, fuck, I love that shit. Oh, man. Sorry.
Anyway.
You get me talking about peanuts.
Sorry.
You know.
It was my fault.
And I am Charlie Brown and all. But, anyway, yeah, that's... I remember you reading that on that tour.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's get back on track because we got to wrap this shit up like we said. Yeah, man. I'm glad that I gave Resurgence a chance after all because I do think it was worth watching. I'll definitely watch it again, especially once I read the other books. And stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting. We should talk about it again. Like maybe we'll talk about it on one of the podcasts proper, you know. Be interesting to talk about some of this stuff. It'll be interesting maybe like provided we're still doing this, which I hope and plan we will be, like further down the line, it'll be interesting to go back and like revisit some of this stuff we've talked about and see like if we feel any different about it or, you know, we'll have to do some kind of special episode like that, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll like revisit like old topics a little bit and stuff, you know. We're still looking for more input from you folks about topics. You know,
where you guys at? Been quiet lately.
You've been too quiet. Little too quiet, if you know what I mean. You need to speak up and say something,
or type something,
or something, or just send us pictures, sign language. You won't be able to understand it, but you know, whatever.
We'll Google it.
Yeah, exactly. We know what this
we'll make it
means.
up.
We know, you know, the peace sign, metal, fuck you, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we know
some basics.
We know the basics, the important shit. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I think it's about time that we get back to grilling and drinking, and I think Megan still wants to blow some more shit up.
Oh yeah, can I blow shit up?
Yeah.
Really?
Set some things on fire.
Yes.
And but with that, we want to wish everybody a very happy and safe 4th of July, whatever it is you choose to do.
Yes.
And all joking aside, we'd like to send out so many thanks and all our gratitude to everybody who has allowed us to have our independence and our freedom. I know we've all got friends and family and stuff that are serving or have served, like this one.
Sorry. Yeah, my brother Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
Asshole.
Yeah.
Currently overseas serving our country, so thank you.
Yeah. Are you supposed to say that? Is anybody supposed to? You're not
fuck
supposed to know where he is.
I didn't say where he was. I just said it was overseas. He could be like...
Could be off world
Africa.
right now for all we know, fighting harvesters.
Right? Right?
Exactly. Maybe he is. How do we know
See?
that Jason isn't out there fighting these fucking guys right now? Jason, if you're doing that,
Take pictures.
Take pictures and remember, attack them from
the
behind.
back. Yes.
Exactly.
Very important.
It's very important. Pull out your machetes, right in the back. This little dick will pop right out of this fucking cocoon thing.
And you can stab him.
And then you can just
Slit
stab
his
the
throat.
shit out of him. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
And keep your pickles away from them, man, because clearly, as you heard...
Don't let him take the pickles. It's imperative, please.
Megan, she's serious about that.
Let him
shit.
take all the pickles he wants.
No. Don't listen to him. He doesn't like Twister. You like Twister. Don't listen.
And if you're gonna give him any pickles, just give him the warm floppy pickles because those are no good.
Okay, yeah, you can give him those. I can compromise. I'm reasonable.
Yeah, just pick up one big old warm and just smash him with a floppy. It works. It's the best. I'm telling you.
It repulsed Vito when he got some pickle on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, oof. Man.
I don't think I've ever seen him move that fast.
Yeah.
Oh, that was disgusting.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing when we're trying to film our teasers and we have actual giant jars of pickles there. Vito is
And
like...
Vito has to handle them.
Yeah, he's not having it.
Handling the pickles.
His reaction in those teaser videos you saw this past couple of weeks, folks, that wasn't
genuine.
acting. That was legit.
It was pure actual disgust.
Sure was.
Same with her shooting that gun at that alien, man.
Ooh,
That
I was mad.
That was legit. That was legit.
One way to set me off.
Mm-hmm. Too legit to quit.
Hey.
And on that note, everybody, hope you had a great holiday, and we hope you have an awesome summer, and we will be back very soon with the next full podcast, and
back at it.
Yeah, back at it. Back out in the
more ridiculous teasers coming up.
And back
it's
out.
Be amazing.
Yeah, back out in the cosmos, because the next one is going to be about.
Wait for it.
You'll find out.
You'll find out very soon. And, oh yeah, you're not gonna like
that. I don't want to talk about it.
Creepy.
No, stop.
On that note, we're out.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the podcast.
Let us know what you think in the comments, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Please click on the links in the description to follow us, and make sure you hit that subscribe button below.
And if you want to help us out, please check out our Patreon page as well.
We'll be back with more soon.
Thanks.
Holy shit, did we do it?
Yeah, we did it.